because of the activity that John and Lucille has provided and the information that they have provided for Carnival Glass, there were some suggestions that we do something that would honor the Britts. So last year, as you were here, we had the presentation to start off the honoring the John and Lucille Britt Excellence in Carnival Glass Award. So that started, and then we are planning on each year after that to recognize one of those Carnival Glass collectors and members that have distributed or had exhibited excellence in Carnival Glass. And this year, when we started to discuss those persons that we might honor, it was quite obvious that who those people would be. As we say, the cream will rise to the top when you go to talking about certain things. So it was without any problem at all, it was easy to select Floyd and Cecil Whitley as though that person to honor. And that's what we want to do. As you know, those people that have been to the Texas Convention, you know that how they are very hospitable, and the Texas group, not only the Floyd and Cecil, but a lot of the other members are also, but Floyd and Cecil have been very instrumental in the Texas organization, promoting it, starting it, funding it, and whatever it needed in the early years to nourish it to the place that it is today. And it is a very nice convention. If you haven't been there in February, the pansies are blooming and the flowers are out. When the snow is in Minnesota, it's a nice place to go down there. So I'm sure they would welcome you and you would understand some of their hospitality. But anyway, we have asked a distinguished panel of Carnival collectors to recognize the Whitleys. We first started eating, and the bread was on the table, and you know, the salad dressing, and Floyd started breaking the bread, and he thought that was biscuits and gravy is what we were having. Cecil punched him a little bit and said, "That's for your salad." And we decided also that we need to make this in a video so that Cecil could explain it later on to Floyd. So we will, at this time, call on our distinguished panel, start off with our distinguished panel of guests to make some presentation. And we thought that, you know, you start at the bottom and come up. So we thought we'd start with Jim Seek, an auctioneer, and start from there. So, Jim.
When Bob asked me to talk about these two, I tried to think of the reason why they would be getting the award. Well, I thought a little bit, and I thought, well, Cecil's put out a wonderful book on enamel tumblers. I don't know how many times I went to that book when I'm writing up a brochure. That book is just a wonderful little book. And Floyd, well, he watched her. At the Texas Convention, Cecil runs around there organizing all the rooms, organizing everything, does all the work, gets everything all taken care of, and Floyd watches her. Cecil's put together a collection of tumblers and a collection of glass that is none better. Probably the finest collection in the country. And Floyd, well, he helped a little. Yeah. Now, for the life of me, I knew the reason why Cecil was getting this award. But Floyd, I kept thinking, well, what was the reason? I thought maybe it was that comment about Lucille's brassiere size. I thought maybe that was it. You didn't know that was coming, did you, Lucille? And then after John's auction, I was sitting in the room with John and Lucille, and we got to talking about Floyd and Cecil, and John said something about Floyd, and I said something about Floyd, and then Floyd says, you know, that Floyd, he's a character. And you know, without Carnival Glass characters, there's not Carnival Glass. It's not as fun. Carnival Glass is only as good as the people around it. And Floyd, that's one of it. You've got the best wife in the world, and you're one of the nicest people in the world. Thank you very much for being here.
Have you got any more information about Lucille? Well, we needed one person that might add a little dignity to this. And Carl Schrader has been the president of the International Carnival Glass Club, so we knew that he would be nothing but serious about this. He takes this Carnival Glass serious. So we thought we would call on at least one serious person to give us the straight facts about what's going on. Carl Schrader.
That was the second grade, wasn't it, Lucille? Thank you, Bob. When I was asked to talk, I thought, boy, what an honor it is to speak to a group like this and honor two fine people. And I had to think, what would I say about Cecil and Floyd? Well, the Cecil part came up real good, just like Jim said, but Floyd, I'm still trying to figure out what I can say good about him. But to be in this position, those two have to have contributed a lot to Carnival Glass and to our hobby that we all love so very much. And the first time that we got acquainted, Fern and I, with Cecil and Floyd, Cecil would come around and buy the painted tumblers. And then this, I don't know if you'd call him a loudmouth, but there was a fella walking behind her that would be heard all the way down the hallway. And so we got kind of acquainted in that way. But then the next thing we experienced was we were at an auction, and one of the pieces, which was one of the better pieces, we didn't know it at that time, came up, and Floyd put a $5,000 opening bid. And I was sitting by Cecil at that time, and it really shocked me because I didn't even bring that much money along, and let alone him making that opening bid. So I kind of leaned over to Cecil and I said, golly, you suppose, does Floyd understand what he's doing? And she said, don't really worry, he's got piles. Right then I had been through that once in my life, and I thought, I kept looking at him, and he was kind of squirming around a little bit. And I was starting to feel a little sorry for him, but then I thought, well, Cecil's got everything under control anyhow, so. But evidently he got through that part of it all right, because he has been buying Carnival since that time. But I know Floyd is very helpful around the house and things, and Cecil said that he is that way, especially when she vacuums, he lifts his feet so she can work, underneath him there. So, and then he has one favorite. He has always liked 7-course meals, and you can tell that just me standing here looking at it, And that consists of a hot dog and a 6-pack of beer. So I, as a member of the HOACGA Convention and past president of ICGA, am really proud and pleased that these two were chosen for this honor. And I always like to say that it's the Carnival Glass that brought us together, but it's the friends that keep us together. And that's the way I hope we stay. Amen. Thank you very much.
Our next distinguished speaker, I was looking for a word there. That's a bad word. But I had told Bob, I asked Bob Lair some time ago, I think I called him special to ask him if he would speak about Floyd and Cecil, and he got here today and he said, I'm not supposed to speak. I said, well, sure you are. You said you would. He said, well, I didn't think you were serious about it. He said, I don't know anything good to say about Floyd. And I said, well, he probably hasn't said anything good about you, so that's fine. So anyway, our next distinguished speaker, and I know that he has some louder.
Hey, Cecil's here.
I'm sorry. Thank you. But at this time, we'll call on the other distinguished Texan, Bob Lair.
You know, about 20 years ago, I took a Dale Carnegie course, and the one thing they stressed, know everything about your subject and you won't have any problems at all, you know, in speaking. Well, I know very little about my subject today. To tell you the truth, the first time I met Cecil and this fellow over here, we were in a meeting in Waco, and he and Dole Green, rather, you remember Dole, they were talking about butterfly and berries. And I thought they were talking about two patterns, you know, berries and butter. I'd never been to a carnival. I didn't know nothing about it. So finally, after about 2 hours there, I discovered they were talking about butterfly and berries, you know. Now, I'll tell you about this guy. My daddy always told me, he said, if you can't say something good about someone, don't say anything. And I've been thinking seriously about this, Floyd. I'll only tell one little tale on Floyd. And the good part is Cecil and Tommy. But Floyd and I are co-chairman of the Texas Carnival Glass Raffle, you know. And we have an equal amount of tickets, and we challenge one another, you know, to try to sell more tickets. And y'all know all about this, I'm sure. We've been doing this 3 years, you know. And old Floyd, I'm having trouble selling as many tickets as he does, you know. So this last year, I went down to his house, you know, and we were looking around through there. He'd sold about $50 worth more than I had, you know. And we were looking through his house, and I see this tremendous stack of raffle tickets over here, you know. Honest to God, there was more there than I thought we had. And I said, Floyd, I ran out of tickets here a while back and asked you if you had any. What that sucker does, he buys those tickets himself and then doesn't put them in. Is that not right? I'll say this, he's a nice guy, but he's lazy.
Well, our next distinguished speaker, and all of you know that, he was an insurance salesman, so you know that they're distinguished. But I guess at the auction a couple of months ago, I saw George Loescher, and he said he was coming to the convention, so I told him what we were doing, and he said he would sure like to be one of the speakers. So we're going to now hear from George Loescher, and I know that George is always serious, and I'm sure he'll give us a lot of good information about Floyd and Cecil. George Loescher.
Well, President Grissom asked me, he said about 2 months ago, to say something nice about Floyd and Cecil, and to do it in about 5 minutes. Two impossibles happened instantly. I can't talk for 5 minutes. It's got to be longer. And I can't think of anything nice to say about Floyd. But I'll put Cecil at rest real early. If there is such a thing as a Texas lady in our book, because I refer to my wife and ourselves, Cecil is a Texas lady. And so we'll leave her alone because I can't think of anything bad to say about her. And by the way, you said you want me to speak about the Whitleys. Now, for sure, who are they? This is Whitley's. Okay. They told me that Floyd was, I heard about him years ago, but then everybody has, and I heard that he was in oil. And the first time I seen him, I told my wife he is. He works with Jiffy Lube, one of them quick oil change places. But then I seen the looks of his wallet, and I figured he ain't making that kind of money in the Jiffy Lube place. He is one of the most witty persons that I have ever known in my life, and I've been in business for many, many years. He always has an answer. In fact, he reminds me of that plant that'll catch a fly. What do you call that, Mavis? What do you call that, Mavis? Yeah, a penis flytrap. What did you say? What did you say? Oh, a Venus flytrap. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm glad we got that. Sorry. Now, Cecil was the teacher for many years, but Floyd really is a good instructor. Like I say, his wit. A few years ago, he was telling you that when Cecil retired, he was going to get her a rocking chair, sit her on the front porch of their house, teach her how to dip snuff, and wait for the mailman to bring her Social Security check. Well, Cecil got a rocking chair, and he sat right beside it. And one day, a guy was coming by with a load of manure. And Floyd said, "What are you going to do with that manure?" He said, "I'm putting it on the strawberries." He told Cecil, "We ought to try that sometime instead of whipped cream." So, there's a funny side to this whole thing, but I got to be a little more serious just for a moment about these people. One is her book, that the time they spent in Carnival glass, that has really helped every one of us if we will just allow it to do so. I can remember one time years and years ago when I think I'd sold a few pieces of Carnival and Cecil was trying to build her tumbler collection, and she sent me a list of tumblers she wanted. Well, I didn't have them, but I said I'd be on the lookout because they look like, easy prey to make a lot of money on these people. So anyway, I went to the convention in Marietta, Georgia, and I knew these tumblers they were looking for. And I don't remember how many years ago, but it was the ICGA. And I went through these rooms. I felt like John the Baptist, someone will follow me much greater than I am. And I asked these people to put these tumblers back. And Floyd and Cecil came in, and I wheeled him around to all these rooms, and he bought every one of the tumblers. Afterwards, he thanked me very much, and he slipped me $150. And nobody ever does that. And I thought, how one man can be so generous. And I'm serious. I thought they're the most generous, giving people, I think, in this hobby that I have ever known. And I think, and I don't say that to be joking, I mean that to be actual fact. And the one thing I like about them, and I hope that it stays, that I can call them my friends. Besides everything else, they're my friends. I don't know what in the world, why we're up here, and what you're inducting me into, but I think, Floyd, you maybe ought to get a duffel bag. I think the Marine Corps are looking for a few more good men. Thank you for your time.
There's one more left. Well, we had to have one Texan to give us the right information, and he's been the past president. I think he finally got that job off to Roy Heiger. But anyway, I know that he's worked with Cecil and Floyd in putting on their convention, so we thought we'd let Richard Sinclair tell us what he knew about the Whitleys.
First of all, let me say that I'm pleased that so many of you turned out for this award. I think it's a really important award, and I think it's important for us to periodically thank the people who have been the backbone of organizations like this, and that's what we're here to do today. These people are tried and true Texans. We in Texas are especially proud of them. They are the backbone of our club. If you want to, in some way, experience Southern hospitality, we invite you to come to our convention, and Sunday morning we have a very special treat when the Whitleys invite anybody to come to their home and view their glass. Last night I was sitting and thinking about this program, and I chose not to tell the funny stories, but to find words that I felt epitomize these two individuals. I've found them to be gracious. I've found them to be generous. The epitome of the kinds of people that we need in our organizations. I find them to be pillars. I find them to be supportive. I find them to be hardworking, always willing to help, willing to risk, willing to try something different. And I can't think of anybody more deserving of this first John and Lucille Britt Award for Excellence in promoting Carnival. I'm proud to know them. I'm proud to consider them as friends. And we in Texas wanted to present to them from our club, but representing all people that appreciate the fine things that they do, with some flowers. So Roy, if you would come up and give this to Floyd.
Well, we appreciate the remarks from each of our panel that spoke. I know it's nice to be able to have a few laughs at someone else's expense, but I think that's probably the most recognized honor to a couple where we can poke fun at them. I think that, Richard, you said that the Texans were proud of them, so I think that we're all proud of them. So, John, we'd like for you to make the final presentation to them.
Floyd, Cecil.
Cecil would like to say something, then we'll offer an opportunity for Floyd to rebut these people over here. Cecil.
Since I'm obviously the serious one, I'd like to say thanks to HOACGA for this really great honor that you've given us today. We've been coming to the HOACGA convention a long time, and we hardly ever miss one, and they've always been most enjoyable. Thanks, HOACGA. Also, I would like to thank our Texas friends. We truly love those Texans, and there are 23 of us here, and we're real proud of having that many here at the convention. I'd also like to take a point of personal privilege and recognize our son and his wife, Tommy and Jeannie Whitley, who have come to this convention for the first time. Would you stand here? And I call her my protege, Kathy Wick, who will be upcoming vice president of the Texas group, and this is her first convention, and she's been so excited that she could hardly work for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Kathy, would you stand up? As I heard all these nice things, I leaned over to Floyd and I said, who are they talking about? But anyway, we thank you very much.
As usual, I'm speechless. I worried a lot, but first, John, let me say it's a great honor for us to have our name on this video. The next thing, Dr. Hager, I want you to give my wife a tetanus shot after kissing all these fuzzy-lipped men. There's got to be something down in that hair that's bad. But I would like to give a rebuttal, but everything that they've said is true. You know. And the only thing I was telling Cecil this morning, and like I say, George is our very dear friend, but for 5 or 6 years, I never seen anything but the seat of his breeches. He would always have his head down in somebody's glass box going through it, and we'd come up here, and we'd never get to see his face. Was that the way he was, Lois? Huh? Digging through the glass. Our good friend from Texas here, Cecil and I have been trying. We got this little calf, you know, and we've been feeding him, trying to fix Bob a belt. I mean, the more we feed the calf, the more Bob feeds himself. And that we've known Bob now for about 8 or 10 years, and you know, and we've measured him from his nose plumb out to the end of his tail. And you keep gaining on him, baby. I don't know what we're going to do about that. And all of you know not to believe a car salesman. But anyway, we appreciate you all as very dear friends, and like I say, Texas Club adopted this club many years ago. We have always put a lot of people here and caused a lot of trouble. We like to make our friends happy, and if we can make our enemies a little more miserable, we're even happier with it. So thank you all. We appreciate the award and the spirit in which it was intended.
We thank you, each of you for coming. I think this is what the hobby of Carnival Glass is about, and what's the most enjoyable part of the hobby. It brings us together to enjoy each other, and again, we'd like to say that we enjoy the Whitleys and their friendship and their courtesies and kindness that they offer to all of the collectors, regardless of where they're from, or they don't necessarily have to be from Texas. They will recognize all collectors. So we appreciate you very much, and it's indeed an honor for HOACGA to make this presentation and present this to you and be our first recipient. And it's given in the name of the John and Lucille Britt, in which they have provided the goal and the the peak for the Carnival glass collectors. And we know that both Floyd and Cecil are at that peak, and we enjoy your friendship and coming to the convention and all of the Texans. But anyway, this concludes this part, and then we will then continue the annual meeting across the hall as soon as we can get rearranged again and people have a chance to hit the restroom or whatever they need to do, and then we'll continue the annual meeting. Thank you very much.